Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe Longinusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where industry leaders, golf professionals, and legends all come and discuss the great game we love so much. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our host to tell us who's next on the tee. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming back and joining me this morning on Next on the Tee. We know you have a lot of choices for shows and podcasts to listen to out there, and we really appreciate the fact that you've chosen to make Next on the Tee one of them. I am your host, Chris Mascaro, and I want to start off today's show by wishing all of you a very Merry Christmas. I hope you're getting ready to join family and friends to celebrate this wonderful time of year. For our military personnel tuning in around the world, if you're unable to be at home with your loved ones, well, please know you're in all of our hearts and minds. It's not just at this time of year at Christmas, but the whole year through. We thank you for everything that you do. And like I say, you live right here in all of our hearts. If it wasn't for what you do, there would be no us. Today, I have the extreme pleasure of getting repeat visits from a couple of great guys. First up this morning is going to be PGA Tour SuperStore CEO Dick Sullivan. Among other things, I'll chat with Dick about some of the great last-minute Christmas items that they have there available at the PGA Tour Superstore and pga-tour-superstore.com. We'll get some ideas what are some of his favorite all-time Christmas gifts have been and what's on the horizon for the PGA Tour Superstore in 2016. We'll talk about all of that and so much more when Dick joins me here in just a few moments. Following him will be PGA Tour pro Kenny Knox. This is going to be Kenny's third visit with us here on Next on the Tee. Kenny is a master with a putter in his hands and a wedge as well. He set 3 all-time putting records at the 1989 Heritage Classic. He holds the record for number of putts for 9 holes, 18 holes, and 72 holes. We'll talk about that and about, he's got a great equipment line of wedges and putters, which speaks to what a genius he is with both of those things in his hands. So Kenny will be joining me a little bit later in this half hour. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. I'm so glad that you're here to take the journey with me over the next hour or so. All right, next on the tee, is brought to you this week by our friends over at Seymour Putters. Let's get things rolling, if you will, a little bit by hearing more about our friends over there.
Golfers, has this happened to you? Great drive, perfect second shot on the green, only to 3 or even 4 putt? Shaking your head all the way back to the cart. I have good news. Help is on the way with the Seymour Putter. The Seymour Putter Company patented RST technology sets up the putter perfectly every time using a visible gun sight on the top line. Genius! It's like locking radar onto the target, in this case, the golf hole, putting the golfer in perfect position to make a reliable and consistent stroke. The 1999 U.S. Open, 2007 Masters, and 2015 British Open champions all used, you guessed it, the Seymour Putter. So if you're ready to make more putts, take strokes off your game, log on to Seymour.com. That's SEEMORE.com and put a Seymour Putter in your bag today.
Yeah, like Joe said, check out the putter technology to help win now 3 majors and 36 tour events and counting. Because this year's Men's British Open champion was using a Seymour putter. And it's going to help you make more putts, too. I know it's been helping me. Check them out online at Seymour.com. That's SEEMORE.com and get one in your bag. You're going to be very glad you did. We are also sponsored by the French Lick Resort up in French Lick, Indiana. Folks, if you want to talk about a spectacular resort to both play golf and to just relax and enjoy yourself out, well, there isn't a better place anywhere on the planet than the French Lick Resort. Go to FrenchLick.com to see for yourself. I had the privilege of taking my family there this summer. We're already looking forward to getting back there. The resort, it's historic, it's beautiful, it's got wonderful gardens out in the back and a huge relaxing rocking chair porch along the front. And the golf, my friends, oh my goodness, the golf. The Pete Dye course is kept in championship condition year-round. They could be ready to play a major there at a moment's notice. This year, they hosted the Senior PGA Championship and the LPGA Legends Championship. So if you've always wondered what it would be like to play in a major, well, you can do that right up there at the French Lick Resort on the Pete Dye course. They also have the Donald Ross design course, which is fantastic. It's the site of Walter Hagen's PGA Championship victory back in 1924. They've also got the Valley Links course on the property that dates back to 1907. So the French Lick Resort needs to be on your list of places to stay and play. And oh, by the way, my friends, they have a casino on the property as well. For more information and to book your stay, go to FrenchLick.com. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Allen Edmonds, maker of top quality made in the USA shoes. Folks, the shoes of great leaders from the Oval Office to corner offices to stage and screen and the promising cubicles all around the country are part of what make people successful. The right footwear is important on the carpets and the hardwood floors of our global economy, so get it right with made in the USA quality and value from Allen Edmonds. Allen Edmonds is an American original. They've been making shoes right here in the U.S. in Wisconsin since 1922. They are currently having a sale with $50 off selected shoes and boots, 50% off of their most popular dress shoe called the City. And don't forget, they've got great sports memorabilia items on there as well. As a guy from Pittsburgh, I still have visions of the Three River Stadium seat cuff. They've got little pieces of the seats actually made right into cufflinks. Boy, I'm telling you, those are absolutely spectacular. I have visions of that dancing in my head this time of year. They also have baseball stadium, cufflinks made from pieces of the seats and the wood from places like Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field, to name just a few of those. Or how about a Jack Nicklaus scorecard cover? How about that? How about a game-used bat bottle opener or a game-used baseball cufflinks? They also have, stuff for the hockey enthusiasts in your life. So many cool items on it. You just can't believe it. Go check it out online at allenedmonds.com. We also want to kick off the show like we do every single week by saluting the brave men and women serving in every branch of our military. A big thank you goes out to all of you for doing what you do to keep the rest of us safe. I also want to thank our veterans for all you've done for us over the years. We know that you and your families, either made or are making sacrifices every day for all of us, and that isn't overlooked or taken for granted, I promise you. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz and the wonderful folks over at the Armed Forces Radio Network. It's an honor for us to have Next on the Tee be a part of your network. You can find our show by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. Also want to remind our veterans, be sure to check out globalvoiceforveterans.org, a great site with news and articles and a wealth of information specifically designed for our veterans that I'm sure you're going to find both interesting and beneficial for you. Again, check it out, globalvoiceforveterans.org, and then bookmark it. You're going to be happy with all the information you get to see right there on that site. All right, now back with me on the Seymour Putters guest line is Dick Sullivan. Dick is the president and CEO of the PGA Tour SuperStore. Prior to his current role, he was the executive vice president with the Atlanta Falcons, and prior to that, the chief marketing officer over at Home Depot. And I am thrilled that I get to have him next on the tee with me this morning. Good morning, Dick. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of the show again.
Good morning. First, thanks for having me on the show again, Chris, and also a special thank you to the men and women in the military who serve and for making the ultimate sacrifice for our country who are listening to the show. Happy holidays to all.
Thank you very much for adding that. It's fantastic. So Dick, we're inside a week here now until Christmas. So, a couple of questions for you. Looking back, what are some of your favorite presents that Santa has left under the tree for you over the years?
Well, I grew up in Boston, and I skated a bunch of pond hockey and hockey as a kid, and so I'd say anything that had to do with sports, probably some new skates and new hockey sticks and new hockey equipment. That seemed to be the wintertime gift. I think I had to wait until summer to birthdays to be able to get some new golf equipment. So I would say as a kid I love to get new hockey equipment because I could use it right then on that Christmas day.
So one other Christmas question, before we move on to some other things, but I got it. What's your go-to movie this time? What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Boy, my favorite movie. I heard that it was 50 years ago that Charlie Brown Christmas.
That's right.
50 years ago. It's almost hard to believe. And I'm going to age myself that I think I know I saw the first one. So I'd have to say that's my favorite Christmas movie.
There you go. I'm right there with you, my friend.
How about you, Chris? Which one?
I'm right there with you. Now I also got to throw in there, Dick. I'm a big A Christmas Story fan. That's I'm the kid. I was Ralphie's little brother. I'm the kid that got wrapped up like a mummy at wintertime. My mom used to wrap me up. I couldn't put my arms down. That's me running around out there.
There's so many good ones. Wonderful Life. And I'll even throw in the Grinch. If you want to have some good laughs with Jim Carrey, I think the Grinch is okay too.
There you go. All right, so Dick, looking at the PGA Tour Superstore, when you look around the store, what are some of the hot items so far this year? And for folks like me who still have some shopping left to do, what are some last-minute items that you would suggest for the golf enthusiast in our lives?
Well, first of all, the holidays are such an exciting time of the year, and gift giving is fun and special, as we were just talking about. And at our PGA Tour Superstore, our 23 stores and our robust online store, we're primed and stocked with all kinds of gifts for 25 million golfers in America, and those that are, just buying a golf-focused holiday gift, for their favorite golfer. So there's still time for the last-minute shoppers out there, and we're ready for you. I would say that technology is still very, very important. I think no matter what your budget is, we have a gift from some of the best brands in the golf industry for the golfer in your life, and we have, I have to say, some of the best associates and instructors, the best in the business. And so, all the GPS rangefinders, the watches, those this time of year are kind of the cool items. They're designed to improve performance. So whether it's the tech devices, the tech caddies or the GPS devices like Bushnell Tour X, that's gives you the slope technology when you want it. And it's a device where you can actually take off the slope technology so you can use it in tournaments, which is a really cool feature.
Right.
There's also the Bushnell Patriot Pack, and that is, it has jolt technology. And a lot of times, when you're shooting those rangefinders, you're not sure if you're hitting a tree or you're hitting a pin. So this has this jolt technology, and it's actually something the pros use, during their practice rounds. So that's the Bushnell V3 Patriot Pack, and then the Golf Buddy Voice actually provides distance with the touch of a button, and it's under $100. So those I think are really great gift items for those that are also speed up the game. I love those rangefinders, whether they're watches or whether they're just rangefinders. I think they quickly speed up the game versus you having to walk off distance and things like that. For those who want to pump music into their round, we have great speakers, the Puma and JBL speakers, the Bluetooth speakers, and I think you're seeing more and more people having fun during golf and listening to music while they're playing golf, and I think it's widely accepted. Some of those that are traditional out there, they may not want to hear some of the music, but it's not necessarily a Caddyshack experience, but I think it's fun if people want to have a great afternoon and listen to some music. So we have those great speakers that fit right into the golf carts.
That's very cool. And, you and I were talking a little bit about this, off the air prior to the show going live, but, I love your winter weather protection shop online. I know it may not feel like winter just yet, everywhere around the country. Many places it's been unseasonably warm, as you were saying. The golf season has been extended for a lot of us, but we know winter's coming. We're not going to get away this easy, all winter long. So talk a little bit about some of the great apparel that you have for folks like my father who, unless the superintendent, isn't going to let him get out on the golf course, he's going to play regardless of what the temperature is. Talk about some of the things that we can, that you guys have available to keep us warm when we're out playing on cold days.
Sure. I think probably the best gift value item. In fact, I actually was in the store probably a couple months ago, and I called up the merchants and the VP of merchandising. I said, I think there's a mistake. I think there's an error. There's an Under Armour quarter zip. It's a sweater fleece, and it has the storm technology and repels cold and wet, and it's $69. I said, this is a mistake because usually, just a golf shirt is around $65. So that's an incredible buy. And then, FootJoy has this new Hydrolite outerwear. It's 100% waterproof and it's breathable. And I think you're going to see in the future, I was in Baltimore last week with Under Armour, and they've come out, and it's not for this season, but next season, they've come out with some new lightweight outerwear that I think is going to be tremendous for the industry because it's, a lot of times outerwear tends to be sort of bulky and noisy, and this tends to be quiet. Right. But you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait until next year. There's some great gift items, and I think the Under Armour, the sweater fleece for $69.99. You can buy that online or buy it in any of our stores. That's a great item for any golfer.
And, we have an experience. Well, it's kind of chilly out here in Atlanta today. But are you like my father? You go out there and play, regardless of the temperature?
I like to go to the range, and I know I'm going to stay warm by hitting a lot of balls. So there I don't necessarily have to wear all this outerwear. I should say also that we have Nike polos, in all kinds of colors and stripes under $40. So there's still some great values out there.
Yeah.
And I think the number one shoe this year is the FootJoy HyperFlex training shoe. It's got the performance shoe with the mesh upper. It's designed for training, for golf and other sports, and that's that mesh feature. And so don't pass up a good new pair of shoes as well. Those are out there as well.
So what's the cutoff date for when we can go on pga-tour-superstore.com and still get our items delivered prior to Christmas?
I think it's 2 days. I actually was on there this morning, and we're into the 12th day of Christmas, so I think we have like a couple more days left. But we have 23 stores all across the country, so there's plenty of places that people can shop and not only just buy the apparel that we talked about and these technology items, but this is the time of year where football is also a popular sport, and we have all of the team gear. So I heard the commercial about all the cufflinks and things like that. People love those kinds of gifts, and we have head covers and divot tools and hat clips and towels, logo golf balls from the favorite NFL and college teams in every single market, and a wide array on our on our website as well. So those are kind of fun stocking stuff or gift kind of items as well, in addition to the other things we've been talking about. Or if you really want to step up, there's been some really great innovative drivers, golf equipment that's come out just in the last few months. It's been very, very impressive what's come out. Certainly what TaylorMade's done with the M1 driver. It's the number one driver on the PGA Tour. So that's in the XR, Callaway driver. You can now save $100 on that. And there's still the G30, which is still, one of the best sellers. There's the great big Bertha driver from Callaway, the Cobra Fly Z driver, the Titleist 915 driver, and the Nike Vapor driver. There's more selection. If anybody wants to buy their favorite golfer a new driver, we have all of those in stock.
And it's interesting, this time of year we also see a lot of promotions around Titleist and and their Pro V1 and their Pro VX golf balls. I know you guys have a promotion online as well. I think $39.99 for a dozen of those. And that seems to be the predominant golf ball out there. Certainly there are a million golf balls and some other great ones, but Pro V1 and Pro V1X is certainly a favorite, and it's great to see that you've got a sale on those, and then golf balls again. So many great things that you guys have available, but golf balls as well.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, which ones should I buy, and I always tell them they should buy both, Pro V1 and Pro V1X. But you're right. I think in terms of the number one gift item, whether it be Father's Day or Christmas, it's a dozen Titleist golf balls. So. The Callaway Chrome Soft is also a great seller as well, but certainly golf balls is a great gift for anybody. I'd say that, and at this time, because a lot of times our customers are really unsure what to get. Obviously, gift cards is very, very popular at this time of year, and you don't have to make that tough decision. Give a great gift card to Dad or to whoever the favorite golfer is in your life.
And I think, there's something that you guys offer, Dick, that not everyone may be aware of, but you guys, come in there, you can get, your swing analyzed. You can, talk about, buying right off the shelf when you're going to buy some golf clubs. Well, one of the important things to do is get it fitted for your swing so that you can get the optimal performance. But those are some other things between the lessons and the fittings and that sort of thing is some, another service that's fantastic. That you guys can do it year round. Obviously it's inside with the simulators and your professionals, but talk a little bit about that.
Thanks, Chris, for saying that. That's what I think separates us from everyone else in the golf industry. And I think you continue to see the not only just the avid golfer, but the casual golfer want to get better. And really the only way to get better is to get fit. And it used to be, I used to say growing up, I used to know, whether my swing speed was 85 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour, and I thought I was being custom fit for, a regular shaft or stiff shaft. Well, it's come so far from there, with these simulators and the technology to be able to see, ball speed and club speed and also launch angle. And so we can really hone in the hundreds of shafts that we have in our store. And it's not complicated and it's not intimidating. You just take a few swings and our fitters will be able to quickly identify what you need in terms of, if it's a low kick point, high kick point, and be able to get you into the right shaft. And the difference is, not just distance, because everybody's looking for distance, but you want consistency. You want to narrow the dispersion in any of the shots. And I think that's what's real exciting about what we've been able to bring to the game. I mean, there's others out there that do that, but I would say close to 70% of the product that's sold in our store now on the equipment side is all fitted. I mean, there are still people that will pick it up right off the rack, but, I mean, more people, why not? Try all the different equipment, see which one's the best for you, and get fit.
Absolutely right. Yeah, it was certainly a huge benefit for me. And like I say, as a guy down here in Atlanta, and your Kennesaw store just down the road from where I'm at, but I know that I got fitted there, and it certainly did make a difference for my game, and I'm sure it's going to make a difference for everybody. So it's good to hear that more and more people, we get to that 70% number. That's great stuff, and like I said, great service that you guys have to offer as well. Dick,
and
looking back over.
I mean, that's a big.
No, please finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, and it's all free. I mean, there's lots of places around America that will charge for fittings. And so we do it all for free. And we actually fit for golf balls, too, which sounds a little absurd. But, there's so many different golf balls out there. And, we all compress it a little bit differently. We don't all, have the same speed of Bubba Watson or, Rory McIlroy. So we can actually identify what is the best ball for you. And that's an easy little free, fun 5-minute little session as well. So come on in and get fit for golf ball.
There you go. So, Dick, looking back over this calendar year, what are some of the fun events that you had the opportunity to be involved with?
I'd say, first of all, it's coming up soon. I always love going to the PGA merchandise show. I mean, we get to see a lot of products in advance, but everybody is there, all the manufacturers, and it's just like a big toy store for people in the industry. So I always enjoy going to that show. I didn't get to many tournaments, but I did happen to get to the Masters this year, and what an unbelievable experience. That was like lightning in a bottle, and what happened with Jordan Spieth. It was obviously something very, very special, and I think that really helped the game this year. I mean, it wasn't just Jordan, though. Obviously, Jason Day had an unbelievable year as well, and I'm so looking forward to next year because of that. So I'd say the merchandise show, the Masters, those are two real special events that I'm very, very fortunate to be able to attend.
Yeah. And, Dick, as the CEO of the PGA Tour SuperStore, I imagine there are people pitching you product ideas left and right, all the time. I'm just curious, what are some of the more interesting concepts people have come up with to approach you about?
Well, I've got one I think that's going to be coming up pretty soon, and it's Gary McCord's got some stuff going on that I'm interested to see what he's coming up with, because he's always an interesting individual, as we know. So he's got some things. But I would say, where you see most of the unique things is in training aids. Everybody thinks that they've got a training aid that's going to help you with your game, whether it's your putting, whether it's your swing. And I would say, I can't say specifically what contraption, I guess is probably the right term. But I think that's where we see them. That's where we see the most unique. I mean, obviously the equipment is regulated by the USGA and the R&A, so you don't get to see too many unique things in the equipment side. And I think being a fairly traditional sport, but I would say in the training aids, that's where you get certainly some of the most unique items pitched to us.
And as you mentioned a moment ago, with the PGA merchandise show coming up next month, without maybe giving away trade secrets or anything along those lines, but everything is evolving. It seems like the golf industry, particularly on the golf club side, is almost like the computer industry. By the time you buy one, the next one is 6 months out, and it's going to be even bigger, better, what have you, than the next. But what are you hearing going into the merchandise show as some things that might be new or different or better for the 2016 golf season?
Well, I think many of the manufacturers, and it'd be hard to identify one, but some of the new launches that even just came out, like we talked about the M1,
right.
It didn't get to be the number one driver on the tour without it being an unbelievable product. And it's amazing how each of these manufacturers, Titleist, for example, I'm not a great golfer, and they wanted me to try their irons, and I couldn't believe how forgiving they were. I mean, most people would think, with Titleist, you're going to have to be a scratch golfer or whatever. And they're moving into, I wouldn't call it game improvement so much, but when you look at that space of that type of mid handicap golfer, they've produced some amazing new equipment. And I know Ping is coming out with some new equipment, and that's going to be launched. And so a lot of the new products come out in the fall, but many are going to come out in January and February, right at the show, and they make a big splash. So I would say every manufacturer, and we have guys that test all the equipment, from Nike to Cleveland to Cobra. It's amazing that the product actually can get better, given all the rules and regulations.
Right.
Some of it's the adjustability, as we know, but they find new materials, like TaylorMade being able to combine, what do they call it, the unmetal wood, their first sort of unmetal wood with carbon, and being able to utilize different materials for all of the science, as you said, sort of like all the science in the game, and being able to get the ball to do different things better, higher launches, and so on.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always marvel at every year, because every year it's the ball goes further, this is going to hit it farther, this is going to hit it straighter, and all that sort of thing. Based on, as you mentioned, all of the rules with the USGA and the R&A for what you can and can't do with a golf ball or the golf club. I always how can it get better? It seems like you've reached the MOI of the ball, or you've reached the compression that you can do. But it is every year they're coming out with something else, something different, and more control and all that sort of thing. It boggles my mind how they're able to continue to refine and refine, whether it's the golf ball or the golf clubs, to actually make it better for the rest of us that aren't at the pro level.
Yeah, I think many of these R&D guys, they either came through NASA, and I'm serious. I mean, they're just geniuses. I mean, they're geniuses in what they do, and so they find new materials and new ways to make things thinner or be able to make them stronger. And so it's just fun to see it all evolve, and it's exciting because equipment is really the most fun part of our game. I think, obviously we sell a tremendous amount of apparel and lessons and others, but when new equipment comes out, and exciting new equipment, like what we're seeing now, that's what I think gets people excited and get them off the couch and in our stores and want to try this new equipment.
Mm-hmm. And Dick, I know you guys, you've been growing your retail locations. You mentioned it a little while ago, but what new locations are set to open up for you guys around the country in 2016?
We're probably going to have, I'm going to say about 5 new stores next year. We don't make that public, but thinking about that number, we've got 3 or 4 that we're working on right now. One that I can talk about is we're opening a new store in Tucson, Arizona in February, and it'll be the largest store in the Tucson area and our 4th store in Arizona. We're looking at other markets to expand our brand, and we've got some that are about to sign on lease or some that we have letter of intent. So we remain focused on providing the most exciting interactive retail experience. We've seen consolidation, but in the markets that we've been going into, at the end of the day, the customer's been voting for us. And so there's still opportunities, underserved markets out there and from a golf standpoint. And again, what we bring from a technology and an experience standpoint. So long as we bring the experience, it was like my days at Home Depot, or even when in the NFL. People didn't attend football games necessarily for the football game; they went for the experience. And as I said, people don't go to a 2-minute race in the Kentucky Derby just for the 2 minutes; they go for the whole experience. And so, we have this mantra: we want, golf is a hobby, and golf is a sport, and golf is fun. And we want it to be fun, and we want it to be experiential, and so that's what we continue to build, these mega stores with, indoor driving ranges and largest putting, greens that people will see, indoor greens, and so stacked with pros, teaching pros that'll fit you, and so all at great value, and certainly in the northern markets, here pretty soon, whether it be in New York or New Jersey or Chicago or Denver. People are lined up inside our stores, looking to use our practice bays. And so it's really, really fun that we can continue to grow the game of golf and bring kids into the game. And so that's sort of our goal in 16. And, you'll see us add a bunch of stores by this time next year, and many in some brand new markets.
That's great stuff. Good for you guys. And Dick, we talked a little bit about this last time, but how influenced are you seeing the sale of items based on a guy who wins, whether it's the tournament that weekend, or when you look at certainly the majors, like you mentioned Jordan Spieth after the Masters, or a Jason Day after the PGA in his late run this season. How big is the spike in sales for if a Jordan Spieth wins for Under Armour or a Jason Day with TaylorMade come that Monday?
I don't think anybody was prepared for what happened after the Masters. Under Armour has seen enormous spikes in their business as a result of Jordan. Just one player. Really, he's just one player. But also, nowadays, for years, all of these tournaments are pretty much scripted. Scripted in the sense that we all know what Ricky Fowler is going to wear on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Same with Rory, same with Jason Day. So whether it be Adidas, whether it be Nike, whether it be Puma, and so on, Under Armour, of course, we know what they're going to wear. We can showcase those in our stores, and fans want to wear what the pros are wearing. And the same thing holds true, on the equipment side. And that's why, you see these manufacturers try to do things differently with color, because they want to be able to be identified, or what they do with putters. The unique shape of the putter has been, one of the main reasons that on TV people are seeing these putters and people come rushing to our stores. It's amazing how quickly they see somebody putting with putter and dropping lots of putts, and they want that specific putter inside of our store. So it definitely has influenced, I think, more than any other sport that I can think of. We get to play with the same equipment that the pros play. Think about it. There's no real other sport, day in and day out that we get to do that.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. Yeah, it's interesting to me, based on what you see the guys wear or what you see the guys play. And I've certainly been in your stores, on the Monday following a major. I know I was there the Monday after the Masters, and the number of people that were over buying a navy blue Under Armour, just like Jordan Spieth wore, polo shirt, and to your point, you guys have some great putting greens inside your locations, and people in there putting with the putter that he would use. That's interesting stuff to me, that that we are so influenced by not only what those guys play, but to get out there right away and to make sure that I have it by the time I have my next tee time the following weekend. That's interesting stuff. It's just like we see in in any apparel. I imagine you're going in here in Atlanta, whether you've got a Matt Ryan jersey or your favorite Atlanta Falcon, depending on the city that you're in. But to be able to sport the same stuff that your favorite pro wears is using out on the golf course. Great stuff, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
I love to see that.
If I was putting like Kenny Knox, though, I probably wouldn't be changing putters. How's that?
That's a great point. Yeah, and I'd be using it.
And I know he's coming up here soon. So that's amazing, the statistics that he's been able to garner in his career. Just unbelievable.
Exactly right. Dick, before we let you go, remind our listeners how they can follow you both online and the PGA Tour Superstore online and over social media as well.
Best place is pga-tour-superstore.com, and we've got everything right on that site, whether it be shopping online, whether it be products that are in our stores, locations of our stores. I think this year is going to be a really, really exciting year. I'm saying 2016. We all know that this is the first time that we have golf in the Olympics since 1904. It's changing the schedule, so the PGA Championship is moving from August, I believe, up until July. So, we have both the Open and the PGA Championship, pretty much not back-to-back, but much closer than ever before, and then followed by the Olympics. And then let's not forget that the Ryder Cup is going to be in the United States, up at Hazeltine, up in Minnesota. So there's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. How can you match what's happened this year? And even we had a meeting at East Lake during the Tour Championship with Commissioner Fincham, and between television ratings being up And especially when you see these young guys, as we talked about, and there's more coming. But, what Spieth has done with Jason Day, Rory McIlroy, certainly you've got the Ricky Fowlers that could have a breakout year. I mean, he had a great year this year. And Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson, there's just more young guns. It's not just Tiger Woods anymore. And so we've got a really, really exciting year coming up. It's great exposure for our sport and great for our industry. So thank you for having me on today, Chris. I appreciate it. I wish you and all the other listeners a happy holiday, and let's look forward to a great 2016.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, Dick, to come back and join me again on the show this morning. Great having you here. It's always a lot of fun to get to talk, not only golf, but also with, technology and the new things that you guys have coming up. I hope you'll come back and do it again soon. Love to catch up with you after the merchandise show. Maybe get to hear what's new and exciting for 2016. But in the meantime, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you and everyone at the PGA Tour Superstore.
Same to you, Chris, and thank you for all you do for the sport of golf. Can't thank you enough. And again, Happy Holidays around the world, all of the men and women serving in the military. Thank you for the sacrifices that you're making for our country. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
All right. Thank you, Dick, very much. Take care. We'll catch up with you again, hopefully real soon.
Thanks. Bye.
That is PGA Tour Superstore CEO Dick Sullivan. Great having Dick on the show and hearing all about the great stuff that they've got. Some last-minute stuff for those that are still shopping for Christmas, or if you're downloading the show and you're hearing it as a podcast and it's after Christmas, there's got some great after-Christmas sales as well. So check them out online, pga-tour-superstore.com. All right, we're going to hear a couple of words from some of our sponsors over at the French Lick Resort and over at Salute Military Golf Association. Hopefully we'll have time. Kenny Knox hopefully will be joining us here on the other side of the break. So stick with us, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
You just can't beat this weather. The leaves are starting to change. It's the perfect time to get away to French Lick Resort and play the courses the champions play. This year, the Pete Dye course at French Lick has hosted the Senior PGA Championship and the Legends of the LPGA Championship. Play our Donald Ross course and feel like 1924 PGA champion Walter Hagen. Fall is the perfect time to play the courses the champions play at French Lick Resort. Book our Hall of Fame package now
Hey, Kenny, Chris Mascaro here. Able to join me this morning?
The Salute Military Golf Association was created to provide rehabilitative golf experiences to the brave men and women who have been wounded while serving our country. Hi, I'm Jim Estes, PGA Golf Pro and co-founder of the Salute Military Golf Association. With my adaptive golf program, we've successfully helped thousands of soldiers in their recovery, both mentally and physically. The SMGA has been providing family-inclusive golf experiences across the country since 2007. To date, the SMGA has equipped more than 1,000 warriors with properly fitted golf clubs and has extended its clinic series to more than 8 chapter and affiliate locations across the U.S. If you are a wounded veteran interested in participating, or if you'd like to learn more about the Salute Military Golf Association and find a chapter closest to you, visit our website at smga.org. We've seen firsthand how impactful golf can be in aiding one's recovery. The Salute Military Golf Association, empowering wounded veterans one fairway at a time. Visit smga.org. That's smga.org.
Golfers, has this happened to you? Great drive. Perfect second shot on the green. Only to 3 or even 4 putt? Shaking your head all the way back to the cart. I have good news. Help is on the way with the Seymour Putter. The Seymour Putter Company patented RST technology sets up the putter perfectly every time using a visible gun sight on the top line. Genius. It's like locking radar onto the target, in this case, the golf hole, putting the golfer in perfect position to make a reliable and consistent stroke. The 1999 U.S. Open, 2007 Masters, and 2015 British Open champions all used, you guessed it, the Seymour Putter. So if you're ready to make more putts, take strokes off your game, log on to Seymour.com. That's SEEMORE.com and put a Seymour Putter in your bag today.
You're listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, heard around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network.
All right, now back with me on the Seymour Putters guest line is Kenny Knox. Let me remind you about Kenny's background. He's from not too far down the road from me down here in Atlanta. He's from Columbus, Georgia. Played his college golf at Florida State University and was named an All-American his senior season. Kenny won 3 times on the PGA Tour at the 1986 Honda Classic, the 1987 Hardee's Golf Classic, and the 1990 Buick Southern Open. He is one of the best putters of all time. In 1989, he set 3 putting records at the MCI Heritage Classic. Again, 8 putts over 9 holes, 18 putts over 18 holes, and 93 putts over the 72 holes. He is currently teaching golf in Tallahassee, Florida. Plus, he's got a great line of wedges and putters that you need to check out online at KennyKnoxGolf.com. Really look fantastic. And I am honored to have him back with me again next on the tee. Good morning, Kenny. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, Chris. Did I do all that?
Indeed you did, my friend. Good for you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that intro.
Kenny, before we get into all the golf stuff, right? We're a week away from we're inside a week until Christmas. So I'm curious, as I asked my prior guest, Dick Sullivan from the PGA Tour SuperStore, what are some of the favorite things that Santa's brought you in the past?
Well, if it had anything to do with golf, it worked for me because that's where my passion is. So I used to love to travel a lot overseas and things like that. And sometimes all the Christmas holidays and Thanksgiving would kind of get in the way. So the good things that were brought to me were just get to play golf every day.
So is that what's on your list this year for Santa? What'd you ask Santa for this year?
Well, I am Santa. I know I'm going to ask Santa. I am Santa, so I'm the one giving. So, but it's been a great run, and I don't really ask for a whole lot. Great weather in Florida right now, and we've really enjoyed that and had a great opportunity to get out and play some golf in this good weather, and not really looking forward to the cold stuff coming, but I know it's bound to happen.
And one last Christmas question for you, Kenny. What's your go-to Christmas movie? What's your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie would have to be, let's see here, the one with, it would be, it's a Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase and those guys. Right. That was hilarious. And also like the Home Alone. The Home Alone, I think, is fantastic as well.
Yeah, my father's favorite, so good choice.
Yep.
So Kenny, update us. What's going on at Kenny Knox Golf? Talk about all the great things you're doing.
Well, Chris, we've got our putter line is doing fantastic. I've been doing quite a few demo days, actually in the Atlanta area, and had a lot of success up here. Actually, I'm headed to Atlanta right now, but we've got a lot of putters out there. You guys keep your eyes open for them, and if you see something you like, let me know. But we've expanded the line quite a bit. I've got 26 different right-handed putters and 12 different left-handed putters. So it's quite a diverse line of putters and it gives the golfer an opportunity to. My whole deal is teaching people how to line up, and as we've talked about before, the alignment thing is so that you line up different type putters different ways, and what my whole focus is training people how to line up properly with the proper putter for the way they actually line up. So if I have a hill shafted offset putter, I'm going to line that putter up different than I would line up a center shafted straight putter. And so and also, you got to get a putter that works with your stroke. A lot of people have a square stroke, one where they don't open the blade up too much, and then someone may have one that opens up and then squares up at impact and then releases. And so we have to figure out what type of stroke you have and which putter to put you in. So we've been fitting people for length and lie, obviously, but the alignment thing is huge, and also what type of putter you should be using according to the type of stroke that you have.
So that's interesting. You know, most of us are trying to, you know, change our stroke to, you know, to be a better stroke. And it seems like, you know, one of your philosophies is more, well, let's get you the right putter based on what your natural stroke is so that you can make more putts. Is that right?
That's exactly right. When I teach putting, I teach there's three things in putting. The first is alignment, so I teach people how to line up properly. The second is mechanics. And so if they don't have the proper mechanics, and I break it down and make it very easy where you can actually, you just want to, your shoulders, arms, hands, and putter head all become one unit, where you can just rock your shoulders, or you can even use your stomach to move the putter back and through without using your hands. And so, and then the third thing is trust. So it's so very important. Once you get lined up, you start trusting, and then when you have the proper mechanics, it's a lot easier to trust when you know you're lined up and you got good mechanics.
And Kenny, one of the things that you mentioned on your site, and you just talked about it, and you know, part of it here is that 85% of the golfers can't aim their putter right, but you also say 90% of us can't get the ball to roll soon enough. Talk about what you mean by, you know, not getting the ball to roll soon enough, and then how your laser fitting system can help fix that.
Well, that's a great point, and it's so very important. You know, when I was playing the tour, we didn't have the luxury of having the technology that there is today. However, the one thing that really hasn't changed in the technology is a constant loft from the putter. Most putters have 3 to 4 degrees loft from the putter. So in order to get the ball rolling, and consequently, most people are actually adding loft at impact. So if you add 2 degrees at impact with a 4-degree lofted putter, you're launching that ball at 6 degrees. So there's no way to get that ball on the ground quick and have it rolling with true roll on it, because when you launch it, it has to come down at some point and hit the ground, and that imparts spin on the ball. And also it may hit something when it comes down and throw it offline. And so what we've done is we've determined that the ideal launch angle is 2 degrees on a putter. So how do you get to that 2 degrees with a 4-degree lofted putter? You know, I would recommend that you go see Dave Stockton and learn how to de-loft the putter at impact in order to achieve that 2 degrees loft. Now, the other thing you can do is you can come see me and change anything in your stroke, because the way my putters are designed with less loft at the bottom of the putter than the top of the putter, when you hit a putt on the upswing or adding loft, you're actually achieving that 2-degree loft. And then when you're de-lofting the putter, you go from a higher loft to a lower loft. And so you're always at that 2 degrees. If you hit it perfectly square, you're at 2 degrees. So the optimum goal is to be at that 2 degrees at impact. And so what I've done is designed a putter that will give you that opportunity. If you add loft or de-loft it or hit it square, you're always around that 2 degrees, which gives you the better roll. So the first thing I do when I teach someone how to putt, or actually when I'm trying to sell them a putter, is I put them on the roll board and I show them the difference. It's kind of like when you're putting early in the morning and you see how the dew, when you hit a putt in the dew, the ball will fly and hit and bounce, and you can actually see how it bounces and then starts rolling. Well, on our roll board, you can see how the ball rolls immediately with our putters as compared to the way the ball rolls with a typical 4-degree loft. And pretty much what we do is I've designed the putter to get the ball rolling quicker, and it gives it more of a true roll, Chris.
And Kenny, not only do you have a wonderful line of putters, but you also make a line of wedges. Talk about what makes your brand of wedges, better than everyone else's.
Well, everybody that puts a wedge in their hands, one of my wedges, I get nothing but positive feedback from them. I actually kind of went in with Jose Maria Olazabal. He has a line of wedges in Europe called the Chima line. And he designed my wedges, and we're kind of a sister company of his. And what we did was Sammy Ballesteros taught us both how to grind our wedges. And I remember being at the PGA Championship at Oak Tree back in the late 80s, and actually Sammy had taught me how to grind my wedge, and I was showing Roger Cleveland what Sammy had taught me. Roger, of course, is the famous wedge maker that is now with Callaway Golf, but originally was the owner of Cleveland Golf. And so Roger was intrigued by the way I was grinding my wedges, and it was just what Sammy had taught me. It allows you to open the wedge up properly, and it gives bounce in the where it should be on the club. You can open it up or square it up, and you have the proper bounce. It forms type of we have a heel bounce and a toe bounce ground off, and so what it does to the actual sweet spot of the club is raises the center of gravity on the sweet spot, so the ball will stay on the club face longer. Now, why do you ask? You ask it, why is that important? Well, if you've ever hit a chip shot and you've hit it perfect, and you know you hit it perfect, and then you hit what you think is the same swing the next time, and the ball climbs up the face and it comes out a little bit high with no spin on it, well, that's what I'm talking about. The ball did not stay on the club face long enough. You want to learn that you want more consistent ball flight with your chipping and more consistent spin rate on your chipping when you hit a chip shot or even a full shot out of the fairway. So what we do is we increase your odds on the ball staying in the club face longer and getting the more consistent shot out of your wedges.
And Kenny, you're such a great putter, and you've got so many great videos on your site. Again, KennyKnoxGolf.com. And you say on there, good technique eliminates bad nerves. What are some things that we can do to keep our minds focused, particularly on those 3 to 4 foot, knee knockers?
Oh, that's a great question, and it's an easy answer to that. Most people focus actually on their hands when they're putting. They're not really focusing properly. A lot of people look at the golf ball and they're putting, but they're actually focusing on their hands and what the putter's doing. You ever caught yourself watching the blade go back and come back, and you're trying to put it back to square?
Yes.
Well, most people do that, and that's something that's very common. What you actually want to do is a mind thing where you actually focus. What I try to do is focus on my shoulders, just actually rocking back and through. If you just put your hands together out in front of you and just rock your shoulders, you'll notice that your hands go as your shoulders go. But if you focus on your hands and just move your hands, it's a very inconsistent pattern to what your hands do in that situation. So you want to focus your mind on your shoulders and not your hands when you're stroking the putt. And then, according to how far you want to hit the ball, is how far you take the putter back. And you want to be consistent on the length you take it back as the length as you take it through. So there should be some sort of consistency there. In other words, you don't want to take the putter back 8 inches and come through and stop at 2 inches on the way through. So you want to go back 8 inches and come through 8 inches according to how far you want to hit the putt, obviously how fast the greens are. But on a short putt, just really focus on your shoulders rocking back and through. And you're right, Chris, you can get those on my videos on my website, the KennyKnoxGolf.com website, and I have a number of short game videos there that you can learn quite a bit from, and it costs you a dime.
And Kenny, I'm curious to get your thoughts about, the technique that Jordan Spieth uses on some of his, shorter putts, where he's looking at the hole and not down, at the ball, or he's focused on what's in front of him, and he's not looking down and holding his head still. And some of the things that we've all sort of learned throughout the years. What do you make of that technique?
Well, I love it because Jordan, he learned how to putt cross-handed. He never ever putted any other way but cross-handed. And so it's very natural for him. So he has a natural shaft lean at address. So all he needs to do, if you notice, his hands never break down. And so what he's doing, he's concentrating more on the field. A lot of times when we focus just on the golf ball, that's when our hands react. So So he's actually taking his eyes off of the golf ball and just focusing on feel. Actually, in the second golf tournament I won up the Hardee's Classic, I came down and had to make a 5-foot putt, Gil Morgan, on the 18th hole, the 72nd hole, and I actually thought about closing my eyes when I hit the putt. So, but I didn't do it. I just kind of focused my eyes and trusted what I'd been doing the whole week because it had been working for me. But I actually thought about closing my eyes at that point. So you really want to take the focus off of just focusing your eyes on the golf ball, because what the tendency there is when you get the putter back to the ball, you tend to stop on it. So what he's doing is simply making sure that he's just moving his shoulders back and through and not using his hands in impact. And as a result, he gets a good feel for how far he hits the ball, and he just trusts that the path of the stroke is correct and the ball is starting the correct path and roll to the hole like he envisioned it doing. And
to kind of putting on arms around everything we've talked about so far, Kenny, what is something that you see that we amateurs consistently do wrong that could help us either with our short game and our chipping, or that you see us in our technique when we're on the greens trying to putt?
Well, the one word that comes to my mind, Chris, and I love your questions, is connection. You must maintain a connection throughout your stroke, whether it be whether you're putting or whether you're chipping. And on these videos that I teach, I talk about connection. And if you could visualize just having an extension from the butt end of the putter to the point which it in front of your belt buckle in your stomach, and that point would remain consistent back and through. So if there's a distance, for instance, of 4 or 5 inches from the end of your putter to that point in front of your belt buckle, that distance never changes. So when you rock your shoulders and maintain that unit and that connection, when you rock your shoulders back and through, that point will always be at the same, constantly back and through your stroke. And you never increase or decrease the distance in which that point between the butt of your club and the point in front of your belt buckle is. So, therefore, you maintain your connection, and you never break down in your stroke. Your hands never break down, and you never decelerate if you just simply rock your shoulders back and through. So connection would be the thing. Chipping stroke is the same thing. That point is always the same back and through. And in order to achieve that, you'll see on the video that in the backswing, you simply roll your forward arm, you rotate the club face open and keeps that point and then you rotate your belt buckle through to achieve the amount of distance you want to hit the ball, fly the ball, or let the ball run out. So you can see it much easier on the videos as I instruct you there.
And Kenny, for people who are not as familiar with your story and coming up through the game of golf as others, your father introduced you to the game of golf at age 9, and by the time you were 12, you were already shooting par. It takes most of us decades just to get bad at the game. What enabled you to be so good so quickly?
Well, I think that I certainly was fortunate enough to be a good young athlete. I love baseball. I think it's very important as a child to play sports, get a good hand-eye coordination. My family was also very good billiard or pool players, so that gave me a lot of imagination, a lot of touch, a lot of feel. I would sit for hours and watch my brothers and my dad play pool, and of course I would practice at that as well. I think that's how I became such a good putter also and good chipper. But I think obviously playing every day and being fortunate enough to get out on the golf course and practice and play and just having a real passion for the game. I grew up in a Columbus Country Club, which was a golf-rich town in Columbus, Georgia. Had many great amateur golfers and professionals who come through Columbus, Georgia, and had a great junior program. So I was able to compete at a high level early. won my 12 and under age division by 27 shots in the Southeastern Junior Amateur 1 year, and just very fortunate to have the life that I've had, and so consequently, as a result, I don't mind teaching adults, but I much more enjoy teaching youngsters how to play golf, and don't tell anybody, but I'd probably pay them if they'd let me teach them.
Yeah, we'll keep that on the down low, Kenny. So
okay, I appreciate that,
Kenny. It wasn't an easy road for you to get on tour. You went through Q School several times. I'm curious, was the pressure of competing and getting your card at Q School harder than it was dealing with the pressure playing out on tour?
I really think that the qualifying school is the hardest thing that any aspiring golfer will ever go through, aspiring professional golfer. It is the most difficult and pain. I'll tell you how bad it was. First of all, it took me 7 tries to get my tour card the first time. Now, I will qualify that saying we used to do it twice a year. So we had 2 miserable weeks twice a year back when I was coming up. But 1 year, my wife was actually caddying for me, and we came down the last hole, and the weather was really tough. The scores were going pretty high, and I was trying to figure out a way to get to the house, and came to the last hole of Q School, and I hit a beautiful drive down there and had just a 9-iron into the pin. I didn't know if I needed to birdie it, par it, or bogey it to get my tour card. So I said, well, 9-iron, I got to go for the flag. So I hit this beautiful 9-iron. The wind hit it, knocked it down, and ended up coming up short in the water. And as we were walking to drop the ball from the hazard, my wife was just crying. So here I am trying to get my tour card. Caddy's crying, and I'm trying to figure out a way to keep it together. And somehow I hit a wedge, in there tight enough and made about a 6-foot putt for bogey and finished 17th to get my tour card. So
wow!
We were glad we got it, but that just gives you a little bit of a story behind how difficult and how how it can really take a toll on your nerves that week. And it's the most relieved you've ever been when you get your tour card. And then the hard work begins, because now you're hitting balls in between Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson, and all you can do is hear how great the ball sounds coming off their club, and you're wondering how you can figure out how to get that ball to come off your club face the same way.
And to that point, Kenny, you've had the opportunity to play, with and against some of the greatest golfers of all time. Did you ever seek those guys out, or anyone in particular out to sit down and talk, whether it's about technique or strategy or that sort of thing, or the mental side of the game to help improve your game along the way?
Well, you must know my story pretty well, Chris. I tell you, I've got some great stories. In fact, I've actually started writing a book, because I should call it Me and Jack, because what I did was I had some great advice from a really great mini tour player, Larry Mallory, who also played well on the Champions Tour, but he played a little bit on the regular tour. He said, Kenny, when you get out on tour, I want you to go to the best players and ask them if you can get some rounds in with them, and that way, when you start playing good golf and you get paired with them on the weekend, you won't choke your brains out, just wondering what they think of your golf game. And so that's what I did. I was fortunate enough in 1982 at the U.S. Open. I was at Pebble Beach. I was standing on the first tee, and I was standing there. And this is a long story, but I'll make it real short. And all of a sudden, I see the crowd moving towards the first tee. And of course, it's a practice round. You had to sign up for the practice rounds at the U.S. Open back in those days. And so I put my name on the sheet, and I'm standing there waiting to tee off by myself, and all of a sudden this crowd's moving my way, and I'm starting to wonder who in the heck that is going to be behind me, and up to the crowd comes Tom Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus. And so I was fairly petrified. So they went and they saw my name on the tee sheet, and said, hey Kenny, do you mind if we join you? And I said, well, I had 2 choices at that time, and The first one was not good. The second one was maybe worse because I happened to say yes, and so after I finally got my ball to the tee and duck up my first tee shot, I was off with two of the greatest players of my day, you know, and two of my superheroes at that time, and so after I won my first tournament in 1986, I went to Jack and said, "Hey Jack, I'm in the Masters now, and you mind if we play a practice round?" And so he said, "Sure, that'd be great." So I started playing practice rounds with Jack, and usually Jack and I would play Greg Norman and whoever. And so we always had great practice rounds at the Masters, and then we played the PGA and the U.S. Opens, and one year I went over and qualified for the Open Championship at St. Andrews, and I went straight from the qualified site to St. Andrews, and my wife was like, "What's the hurry?" I said, "I got to find Jack. I got to play a practice round with him." And so I went and found Jack, and I said, "Hey, can we play a practice round?" And he said, "Yeah, wow, what's the big deal?" He says, I said, "Well, it'd be a Grand Slam." He says, "What are you talking about?" I said, "We played the U.S. Open, we played the Masters and the PGA, but this would make a Grand Slam for me." So we played two practice rounds that week, and I played with he and Paul Azinger and I actually played against Jack and Tom Watson that week, and we also played a practice round with Lee Trevino. So, hey, it's good to know people, and it's good to be, you know, I'm glad I got that good advice to go up and try to play with these great players, and they're so nice to play with you, but it does help you when you get in those situations to kind of not be as nervous and not be as concerned about what they're thinking about you.
And it's interesting, Kenny, last time you and I spoke, you had talked about, getting together with Jack, I think earlier this year, and giving him, I think, one of your putters to test out. Did he ever give you feedback on the putter?
Yeah, actually, what happened was I went down, I fit Jack for Jack and his son Jackie. This was last year, and I fit him for putters, and I put Jack on my alignment system. And Jackie was a little bit all over the board, so I had to find the right putter that fit him. And Jack was actually in what I call my 5% club. And there's about 5% of the people that I fit that it doesn't really matter which putter you put in their hands, they line it up perfectly. I've had Jack do that, and I've got a 15 handicapper about off in Georgia that's done it, and I've had a few other people that have done it, but not very many out of about 500 different people that I've fit. And so I've got a 75% of the people are all over the board, and 20% of the people are pretty consistent with the direction, but you still need to dial them in. And then there's 5% that doesn't really matter which style putter I put in their hand, they line it up perfectly. And Jack was one of those guys. And so it really didn't matter which putter I put in his hand because he's going to putt good with pretty much anything.
Which is interesting. It's not surprising to know that the greatest golfer of all time could line up with anything and get it right. That's, I guess, just another piece to what makes him as great as he is. But talk about and you talked about this at the beginning when we, of the segment. But what do we do when you're giving people, and we're all over the board? What are we doing wrong based on the type of putter? What makes us have to align the putter differently based on the style of putter that we have in our hands?
Well, typically, if you're lining up to the left, assuming you're a right-handed golfer, and in my laser system, the Knox laser system, and you typically line up most putters to the left, then what I do is I put you in more of an offset type putter, and that will bring you back more to the center or to the target. Now, if you line up everything to the right, and you're in an offset putter, then I'll take you to a no offset putter, and that'll bring you back to the left. So it makes a big difference. And there's also things that I can do, like, for instance, ball position is very important. If you're lining everything up to the right, typically your shoulder's going to be closed and the ball's going to be too far back in your stance. If you're lining everything up to the left, then typically the ball's too far up in your stance and your shoulders are going to be open. So I can adjust your ball positions and your shoulder alignment, which is also going to help the path of your stroke. If you get the path of your stroke down, where you don't have to think about it when you're over a putt. Then you can just rock your shoulders and not have to worry about it. Then the ball comes out of what I call the correct barrel. And so it's just a process that I go through in the fitting system that allows you to be the absolute very best putter you can be. Most people think they're bad putters because they have bad nerves. And that's why I say, and I always have said, good technique eliminates bad nerves. Because if you got good mechanics with the proper ball position, the proper alignment, then there's no reason to ever putt bad. All you have to do is trust it. And it's a lot easier to trust it if you got a good alignment with the good mechanics, combination with the right putter in your hand.
And Kenny, just a couple more before we let you go. One of the worst parts of my game is getting up and down out of the bunkers. What tip would you have for me or our listeners who also struggle with bunker play for helping us, be more consistent and get up and down once we find ourselves in a sand trap?
Well, the bunker is very interesting. It's totally different than any other shot I teach. What I teach with bunkers is pretty much a full arm swing, and the biggest factor in bunkers is getting the club up, getting it down, and getting it back up. And you always want to keep the club face open in a bunker. You never want to square the club face up in the bunker unless you're hitting a buried lie, which is a totally different technique. But just to say a normal shot, you want to pretend that you're up against the wall with the toe of your club. You want to swing that club up the wall, down the wall, then back up the wall. And I use what I call my helicopter swing or my Ferris wheel swing. And you can see that on my videos as well, where the club goes up, down, and back up the wall, and then all the way around with the club face never closing up and never squaring up. What that does, it gets the ball up and out, use the proper bounce of the club so that you're not digging into the sand, and that the ball will get up and out of the sand and land softly. Now, it will not have as much spin as you would have if you use a different technique where you cut across it or something like that. But it has a more consistent spin where when it lands, you have better control distance where the ball will roll more consistently out to the hole. So it's a higher percentage shot as well. Technique that I perfected is one that I teach in my sand instruction, and it's also on my website.
And Kenny, wedges have several different kinds of grooves nowadays. Is there a particular groove type that you prefer and that you find it is actually better for weekend golfers?
The grooves, I think, they're all, I would say, they have to be legal, obviously, and they've made them now where I guess there are wedges some wedges are better than others, but obviously the newer wedges are going to spin the ball better than the older wedges. In other words, if you practice a lot out of the sand using your wedge and if you're practicing hitting balls on the range using your wedges, you're wearing those grooves down because you're hitting hard golf balls and you're hitting you're sandblasting that face. I hardly ever practice out of the sand. I hardly ever hit my sand wedges when I'm hitting range balls because it wears the grooves down so fast. So that's the biggest thing, is not wearing the grooves down. But with the new technology, they still have to remain within the rules of golf. So they're all pretty consistent with the groove depth and the configuration of the groove. I don't know that one would really work better than the other than the fact that they're new. And to prove that point, when I was with Roger Cleveland out of Callaway one time, he had a whole display rack of Phil Mickelson's wedges. I said, why in the heck do you have so many of these wedges? He says he uses a new wedge every week that he plays. So He has the same exact identical wedges, but they're different wedges every week that he plays.
Wow, that's amazing to know that he's wearing grooves out that quickly, or always staying with a pristine item. But we all have our superstitions. Kenny, remind our listeners. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it really wasn't a superstition. It's just smart because the grooves are brand new, so obviously you're going to get better spin on the groove off the ball.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm with you. Kenny, before we let you go, remind our listeners how they can follow you both online and over social media as well.
Yes, it's everything. Just remember Kenny Knox Golf. So it's KennyKnoxGolf.com, and it's Kenny Knox at gmail.com, KennyKnoxGolf@gmail.com if you want to. And you can also go to my Facebook, it's Kenny Knox Golf, or just Kenny Knox, and also my Twitter account is Kenny Knox Golf.
That's great stuff. Kenny, thank you so much for taking time out of your drive now, obviously, here to Atlanta to be a part of the show with me again. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to get the opportunity to pick your brain a little bit and hear the great things that you're doing with Kenny Knox Golf and KennyKnoxGolf.com and the videos that you have and the equipment that you've got available for all of us. It's really great, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show again with me this morning.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. I really enjoyed always. It's been a great way to get the word out there and also break up my drive a little bit. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Kenny, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and your family. We look forward to the opportunity again to catch up with you hopefully real soon.
All the best, and Merry Christmas to you, and Merry Christmas to all you guys out there, Armed Forces. We just love you, depend on you so much, and appreciate you.
Thank you for adding that in, Kenny. Take care, safe driving, and we'll catch up soon, my friend.
Okay, Chris, thanks.
All right. That is Kenny Knox. Again, KennyKnox.com. Great stuff on there. He's got a lot of great videos. I highly recommend it for the short game. And like I say, his wedge line and his putter line, fantastic stuff. Really, check it out. You're going to be very happy with all the things that you get to see on Kenny's site. All right, folks, it's about time for me to put a bow on this episode. Before we do, I want to remind you again about the Salute Military Golf Association. You heard the ad from Jim Estes a little bit ago. Please go online and check them out to see how you can get involved. And if you know somebody that is in need of help, that's been injured in the line of duty and loves the game of golf or would like to learn the game of golf, they're doing so many wonderful things there. It's at smga.org. All right, I can't thank you enough for letting me be a part of your day and choosing to listen to today's show. My sincere thanks to Dick Sullivan and Kenny Knox for joining me today and making today so much fun for me to be a part of. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Please also check out our sister show, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me and my co-host Bob Lazzari and our announcer Joe LaJanusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us streaming there live on Blog Talk Radio and ArmedForcesRadioNetwork.org as well. That show, like this one, is also available on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Player.fm, SoundCloud, so many places. Podbean is also joined on with us, so you can find us on Audio Boom. So we're available everywhere. Please check us out online and stream or download our show from any of those wonderful sites. On Thursday Night Tailgate, we are joined every week by legends and stars from around the NFL and the CFL. You please check out both shows on Facebook. Again, Thursday Night Tailgate, Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro. Give us a like. Share your thoughts and comments with us. Those are important to us as well. And you can find us online. This show is nextonthetee.net. That's our website, ThursdayNightTailgate.com on the football side. Like I say, you can stream or download any of our archive episodes for free and keep up to date with who some of our future guests are going to be by checking out both sites. All right, folks, thank you again for choosing to listen to today's show. We appreciate you guys the very most. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friends.
You've been listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors, and media members go to tell their stories. Join us the same time every Saturday to hear more stories about the game we love from the people who love sharing those stories with you. It's all about the great game of golf. It's all about the great game of golf.